Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we're going to review Wallace and Gromit in the Grand Getaway VR, a game that was released on the Meta Store December 7th, 2023. It normally retails for $12.99, and I got this game as a paid subscriber to MetaQuest Plus. Wallace and Gromit in the Grand Getaway is a classic puzzle adventure game that is reimagined for VR and for a wider audience. Therefore, the puzzles are very simple, really targeted for a casual audience, and a lot of the gameplay are just mini games. The game took me about 90 minutes to complete, so there isn't a lot of content, but you can replay the mini games, and there is a mixed reality mode called Jamtastic where you can play a shooting gallery / wave shooter, but you're actually shooting jam into different types of breads. But obviously the draw is Wallace and Gromit. If you're a fan of this British stop motion animated comedy franchise, then I think you will like this game. It is very faithful to the source material. The production values are top notch. The writing is excellent. The voice actors all did a great job. The visuals are excellent. All the different locations that you go to have a lot of attention to detail. They're quirky. There's a lot of stuff going on. The animations are good, and you do get that stop motion type animation in this game, which makes you think, is it the frame rates that are going low, or is this just a stop motion animation? But I think it was a stop motion animation. But the game itself really does make you feel like you're in a mini short film of Wallace and Gromit. So again, if you're a fan of the show, this is an easy recommendation from me for you, because this VR experience is very faithful to the source material. However, if you're not a fan of Wallace and Gromit, then this is a harder recommendation. As mentioned, it only took me about 90 minutes to beat the game, so there's not a lot of content. Granted, there is a mixed reality mode shooting gallery, and as a bonus you can repeat the mini games inside the game itself, but I wasn't really looking forward to that, as the mini games were just too simple. But besides the limited content, there's also other issues. One of them is that this game is just not conducive to seated gameplay. This is actually mostly a room scale game. It's got very limited locomotion. There's only nodal teleportation available sometimes during gameplay, and for certain segments you'll need to be able to reach certain levers or whatnot in order to progress the gameplay. Only snap turn is available. There is no smooth turning. In fact, there's no options in this game other than to delete your saved data. And while the gameplay is very casual and pretty simple for the most part, I did have certain sections of the game where I did get a little frustrated just due to the responsiveness of the game. The main culprit was towards the end, where your hands follow this hand prompt and the object's supposed to follow along with your hands with some sort of magnetizing effect, and I just found this section to be very tricky and just a little bit more frustrating than it needed to be, just because it wasn't very responsive. I also wasn't a fan of some of the interactions, such as when you have to throw an object. Basically, you grab an object and put it in your mouth, and then it just shows the trajectory, and what ends up happening is that you shoot by accident when you don't want to. So it was just not very immersive, and also frustrating when it shoots accidentally. And being a VR veteran who's done several puzzle games in VR, I just thought the puzzles here could have been more creative and had a little bit more depth to them. And the same thing can be said about the mini games. Like, I have absolutely zero motivation to try to do them again or go up the leaderboards for these mini games. My last criticism is about the sound mix of this game. Now, like I mentioned, this game has great voice acting and has a great musical soundtrack as well, but the sound mix needed a little fine tuning, because sometimes I would have trouble hearing Wallace because of how loud the music was or how loud some of the background noises were. So overall, there's top-notch overall production values for this experience. The visuals, the sounds, the writing, the music, the voice acting are all top-notch excellent, but this experience is brought down by the gameplay. And unfortunately, in a VR game, the gameplay is pretty important. And keep in mind, the content is also very limited. How they managed to put such uninspired gameplay into such a short runtime is pretty astonishing to me. At the normal price, this is a pretty difficult game to recommend given those limitations. So unless you're a fan of this show, I don't think I would recommend this game to you. However, if you find it like I did on Quest Plus, then it's an easy no-brainer because it's a short time commitment. It's only about 90 minutes long. I think this is like the perfect type of game to put into the Quest Plus catalog. So I'm happy that we got this game on Quest Plus. And if I have to rate it, I would give it a 6 out of 10. Fans of the comedy franchise, I think, will appreciate this a lot more, but you might just enjoy watching a YouTube gameplay video more than actually playing it yourself.
Well, how endearing.
Handy.